In this video, I'll share with you some of the tips for building great slides, great PowerPoint presentations. You can think about this as a checklist of things to think about. Number one, it is not about you. When you create those slides, keep this in mind. The slides should not reflect you, it should reflect the content. It sounds simple, but at times we get diverted and we make us stand out and not the content. We make us stand out and not the story. We make us stand out and not the crux of what we're trying to get, right? We might use something distracting. We might cater it to look, good to ourselves that we understand, but doesn't give justice to the content. So it's important to keep in mind the slides is not about projecting how good you are, but it should be projecting how good you have done a good job in representing the content. So the content, the story, what you're trying to convey is way more important than yourself or projecting that you're good. That's number one. It's very subtle, but it's very important. Stop selling the car that is already sold. So in your slides, there will be some persuasion that you're trying to do, right? You have someone to persuade, you have someone to convince, you have someone to inspire. There's an agenda behind which you're trying to create the slides. There should only be one agenda for one presentation. And once you have shared your agenda, your intention of a powerful message that you wanted to convey, don't keep saying that over and over. It's repeating. It's like a salesman which has sold the car and is trying to sell the same car to the same person that he has sold. The customer's already bought the car. Go to the next customer, right? Similarly, in our slides, we tend to repeat the same content over and over. You know why we do that? We do that because we did not emphasize the first delivery very well. Instead of this, remove repeated selling and do one sell it really well at the very end. In other video, we looked at how we should have a really powerful vertical takeoff, a clear beginning, middle, and end, and a great vertical takeoff at the end, and land with a CTA, a call to action, right? So stop selling the car that is already sold. Number three, feel the story of the protagonist. When you are making a presentation, if you don't even feel what you're talking about, or if you don't even understand, you're not even knowledgeable, then the other person who's receiving it, the audience, will not have credibility in you. So unless you are passionate about the subject, let's say you're trying to sell your team that we got to do this. This is very important. Competition is ripe. We have to win this space. Then that energy should come from you. That emotion should come from you. If you are sharing a story about something, then that emotion should come from you. You should also be knowledgeable in that subject. If not, people will not give you credibility. So it's very important to have the feeling. It should also resonate with the feeling of the content. So you are conveying the message not just to the head, but also to the heart of your audience. That's an important, very important one, which is to feel the story of the protagonist. Next, practice with your community. This skill is learnable. Creating great slides is learnable. But if you get feedback from your community of folks, like your colleagues, your seniors, your team members, outside friends, then that community of people that you give and take relationship of helping them build great slides, they'll give you feedback as if they're an audience. So build that community which you can trust on to review your slides, to review your presentation, and that you also give back. So practice with a community, build that community of people who will review your content. Next, one CTA, powerful, right? We typically, the story, we have covered in depth in the storytelling, but very briefly, the presentation should potentially start from a story that is a darker side, or something that is not good. It should build up. It should build up the tension of why it is bad, that we need to do something. And then it should say, what should we do? So that's the clear beginning, middle, and end. And then at the very end, you should have one call to action that says, I want you to do this. I think we should do this. right? So simple. One call to action should be at the very end. If you have a call to action in the middle, somewhere in the beginning, and people have lost you. And remember, you get two opportunities, really two opportunities. One at the beginning, where you actually grab people's attention. Within the first 6-7 seconds, they make up their mind, hey, is this worth listening or not? And at the very end, when they remember that feeling of what did this person really want me to do? So have the call to action at the very end, right, of your slides. And it's learnable, but it requires a lot of practice. Presentation is learnable, but it requires lots and lots of practice. So invest your time in learning these skills. There are many books onto this topic. The one that I would recommend is this book. It's called Resonate. It's a fantastic book by Nancy Duarte. Fantastic book on slides and presentation. So it's learnable, but you have to invest your time into learning on how to create world-class presentation. Next, stories. We talked about storytelling in a separate dedicated video. It's very important. People love stories. So you need to find out if what you're trying to convey, if you have a personal story behind it, or a story of someone else that moved you, then that's something that can really engage people. It can engage the minds. Everyone loves stories. So getting really good at storytelling, having something personal that grabs their attention, and then analogy is to be used to say, hey, how that story is related to what I'm trying to share now, and they'll get it. They'll remember it. Storytelling, personal or any other story that's impacting you, that has impacted you, that you can feel. Structure, we talked about it, right? Vertical takeoff, clear beginning and end, and then finally at the very end you need a takeoff CTA as well, right? And do not procrastinate. It feels difficult to create a presentation, but divide it into 3 chunks. The first chunk, 20 minutes. Find out what one takeaway you want. What is your CTA? Start with the end, right? And then within 20 minutes, find out how many minutes you have. You only should have less than 1 slide a minute. You should not have more, right? Then find out the content, find out the images, find out consistency. The first 20 minutes is to find out CTA, second 20 minutes is to find out content, third is to practice. Just break it down, have a structure, and then once you've broken it down, you will make progress. It feels difficult at the beginning. It is not easy either. Remember, if you want to deliver a great presentation, it is hard work. If you are going to wing it every single time, you're not going to get better at it. So invest your time, invest your energy into building great presentation, especially when the stakes are high, especially when you're talking to hundreds of people. Think about it. All of them, hundreds of people are giving you their precious time. 100 people going to a cinema also is expensive, right? Like maybe $10 per person. It's like $1,000. But now all of these people that are listening to you the company's paying them more than $10 an hour, more than minimum wage. So when they listen to you, make that an experience worth it. Invest your time. Your 5 minutes is multiplied by the number of times the audience has listened. And if you can invest your time in creating great presentation, you will have impact. And it's an absolute must to make sure that we do not squander companies' money because time is free. Presentation and meetings are just going on. No, it's not free. It's very, very expensive. Very expensive to get hundreds of people or even 20-30 people for an hour, and which has no impact. It's very expensive. Be mindful of that one. Next point, reality check. When you've created your slide, just do a reality check. Hey, I'm trying to sell this, or if I'm trying to convince these people, do I really feel this is possible? If you don't think it's possible, most likely your audience will feel it's not possible either. So do a reality gut check. Make sure you've done your homework. Read as much as possible to make sure that you truly believe this, and then you're ready. You've thought through questions and answers that the audience can ask you, and then you're ready with material, with specifics as much as possible. Next one, authority. In your slides, there's got to be some place where the audience should feel that you are the authority on this topic. If you're talking about jobs, you should probably say, hey, I've been in this space for 10 years. I've looked at data for this many companies. I've done this, and that. So then it builds authority. if someone's talking about, let's say, wearing a mask, and if there's some ordinary person versus someone who's a physician or a medical doctor talking about masks, it has a big impact. Similarly, when you speak, have to give some context why you are the authority. If you cannot share that, then there'll always be questions like, hey, why is this person saying? Is this person even know any better, right? So why should they believe you? Why should they listen to you? They'll listen to you if they believe you are an authority. Share something in your presentation that explicitly tells them that they should listen to you, that you are an expert at it. Okay, we talked about practicing and anticipating Q&A, right? So think about every little slide. Think about all the downsides and questions that you may anticipate, because presentation is good, but if you get a question right after that completely throws away your thesis and your inspiration, then the entire presentation is not worth it. So you got to present with a lot of homework, and you got to come prepared. Go above and beyond. Go above and beyond. When you're presenting, if you're just coming in, doing your normal presentation, hey guys, this is what we did, this is where we're supposed to go, this is what we should do, and let's just do it. Well, that's great, but you just shared the content. You didn't get involved, so now you need to get involved. Then you need to do something that actually gives your audience an experience. An experience. You need to give your audience an experience. Think about it. When you go to a drama, how much energy those people put in for those people who are sitting in the audience. The actors put in a lot of energy. Similarly, like an actor, we need to prepare. We need to give our audience the experience. We need to make it magical. We need to make it magical. We need to make it magical so that people feel this person really wanted to inspire me. This person really cares. This person really has energy behind it. One simple tip that really worked for me is when I use online meetings, I try to customize my background on the topic on which I'm trying to talk about. That really helped me. That really helps the audience saying, hey, this person really cares. He's like changing his audience, his background. You're wearing your good clothes. You're coming, prepared. You're like, you're not just coming in with like, haphazardly into the meeting, and you're 5 minutes early. You are like, you're really prepared. You're going above and beyond. And if you can do something up to the audience that really gets their attention, giving them some document, giving them some pre-read, like go above and beyond. Give them an experience. Make it magical. Make it magical. That's the most important tip, by the way. Make it magical. Okay, slides should not be a distraction, right? Slides should be there to support you. If people are just looking at the slides, because there's so much data in it, so much text, so many numbers, and it's so hard to understand what it is, then that's just distraction. If you're using templates that are just not even relevant to your slide, that's distraction. People are spending time looking at those pixels and wasting time. Remove all distractions. One other tip, start with your CTA maybe at the very beginning, saying, hey, this is my slide. And then at the very end, have like one-liner as to what you want. It's also important to have clean slides, not distracting slides. Consistent use of images. I typically do this all the time. I Google certain images, I use some stock images, right? Now, that's not helpful. It just shows how poor quality of preparation. Think about those drama artists. If they just did they just came in their home clothes and just did something, it doesn't feel that they're creating an experience. It doesn't feel that they're prepared. It doesn't feel that they really care about the subject. They just want to get it done. Don't do that. Don't just use any image. Use images that are consistent in your theme throughout, and that feel and has a feeling around like what you're trying to say. Consistent, right? Don't just copy paste any top image that you find on Google. Tailor your slides to your audience. Most of the times we might have slides that we might have used for a specific meeting, and we try to reuse it. Well, remember, your audience is different. You can talk about the same material to 10 different audiences, and you might need 10 different slides. Everyone brings different context. So when you present, you have to cater it to the audience. You might very quickly adjust your depth of going into it by making it interactive, saying, hey, how many of you know that wearing this mask is important, or some question like that, right? Or just take a poll, how many of you know that we should be using this versus that? Then you know what your audience is. When you know what your audience is and you've engaged them, you can actually cater and go deep into it. And those people who have answered will be more attentive as well. So tailor your content also on the fly. Also on the fly. Remember presentations that have gone before, presentations that have gone after, that are coming. Remember that. Try to weave that in. When you weave that in, it makes you feel that you're more aware, that you can connect the dots, that it's relevant and it's important. Tailor your content. Bring in contextual thing that is helpful. Engage your audience, right? Talked about that. Ask questions. Make it interactive. Repeat few important sentences that you want to deliver. Again, repeat few sentences again and again. Look, I'm telling you, repeat few sentences again and again. I just repeated this sentence 3 times. I think I got your attention. The fact that you were listening. It's important when you repeat. People who might have zoned out for those few seconds, they at least got the chance to get you back. So pace slowly, deliver your message. You might want to have tones and variations and speed variations. Certain times when it's important, build attention. Take a pause, like this one. I took a pause, and now I'm saying something to you. When you do that, people automatically feel, oh, did I lose this person? Oh, if they're doing something else, they'll be like, oh, they're silenced. So then maybe this person's looking at me. When you build that tension, you automatically get grounding. People come to you on the subject when you take pauses, when you deliver with pauses. Very important. And when you have paused, repeat the sentence so that if they've missed you, they can actually catch you back. Okay, at the very end, presence, right? Your tone is important. Your facial expression, how well you sit, what you have dressed, what your background's like, how much preparation you've done, how much energetic, what do you feel about it, that presence. Giving your audience experience is the most important part. When you do that, people will be like, I just want that presenter to just keep going on and on. I just love it. I love what this person's saying. You want to make that experience like that. You want them to say, once more, keep going. I want to know more. Let's have a fireside chat. Let's talk more about this topic. You want it to never end. Like those fantastic dramas that we've all seen, or those great movies. You're like, why? It's already over and it's 3 hours. Similarly, don't make it boring. When you go back to making your presentations, don't make it boring. Remember all of these, have presence. Final tips, have fun. Have fun. When you're making a presentation, have fun. Have fun doing it. When you've had fun doing it, you've added some humor in it, your audience will enjoy it. Have fun doing it. Don't make it boring, and make it magical. Make it so that your audience has an experience. Make it so that your audience has an experience. I leave you with one quote from Rumi. We are born with wings. We are born with wings. Why crawl through this world? We are born with wings. Why crawl through this world? Good luck.